Hello, welcome back to another FPL video. Now it's the international break. I know it's a little bit boring, but it does allow us to have a little bit of a tinker with our FPL teams. And I know that a lot of you will be thinking of hitting that wildcard button over the next 2 weeks, whether that's because your team needs a complete overhaul or you're just a little bit bored and you want something to do. Well, I'm the man for you today because I've got an FPL wildcard draft for game week 9. We're going to be getting straight into that in a second. I'm really trying to push for that 200 subscriber mark. So if you don't mind helping me out and hitting that subscribe button, hit that like button, and well, without further ado, let's just go straight into this. So first things first, before I sort of get into the player selection and why I picked certain players for this wildcard draft, I just want to mention the sort of a busy, fast approaching December period that we have coming up, the Christmas period. The games come thick and fast in this period. And what does that mean for FPL? Well, it means that there's going to be plenty of rotation, especially among the big clubs, and a lot of injuries as well. I mean, we've seen it with Liverpool so far, Trent, Van Dijk, Fabinho, Thiago, and now apparently news coming out today that Gomez is also injured. I mean, they're going to have a real hard time of it over the next few weeks. So what does that mean for the FPL? Well, it means that I think you should have starting players in as many positions as you possibly can. So even if that means you have sort of a 4.5 mil filler who starts, a 4.5 mil striker who starts, or players like, as you can see in the defence there, Jamal Lewis and Kilman, I think it's very important that pretty much every single player in your team does start, so that if players on the team get rotated, get injured, you have players off the bench who you can either start the week with if a player gets injured, or can just come off of the bench and give you those extra points. So actually taking a look at the team right here, you can see we have no Liverpool defence, obviously because the likes of Trent, Van Dijk, they've all been injured. The only one you could potentially go for is Robertson, although he's only really going to be good for attacking returns from this point onwards, because defensively, because they've lost a lot of their defenders, they look a little bit frail at the back as well. That's why we've gone for the likes of Walker, Chilwell and Cancelo. Walker and Cancelo do have Spurs coming up next. However, after that, they've got the likes of Burnley, Fulham, West Brom, Newcastle, all at home in the space of about 6 weeks. And I mean, that screams clean sheet to me. And both of those players can easily get attacking returns as well. I mean, for me, Kyle Walker is more of a sort of set in stone player for Pep. He will be starting week in, week out. It seems like Pep is trying to build a back four there who sort of do start week in, week out, which is very nice. Diaz, since he's come in, has been undroppable for Man City. Laporte is now playing every week. They're leaving Ake on the bench. I mean, that's the one position that I think I'd be a little bit scared of having Cancelo, is that I feel like in the coming weeks, in the December period, as I mentioned, I think there'll be a little bit of rotation there between Ake and Cancelo, although Cancelo does get forward very, very well compared to Ake. I'd be a little bit worried at the kind of rotation you're going to have with these City guys, but I think the likes of Walker and Ruben Diaz are sort of nailed on, so maybe those two are the guys to go for. Then we've got Ben Chilwell as well for Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea have been looking very, very good at the back since the likes of Chilwell has been fit to come in, since Mondi's come in. Zoom has been playing very well, and Thiago Silva as well. You've got Reece James in the right back position, who's he's been reasonably consistent now, although Lampard does like a little bit of rotation with him as well. Ben Chilwell gets so far up the pitch. I mean, if you saw the goal he scored last weekend, he was literally a tap in from about a metre out, if that. He bombs down that left wing, tries to get on the end of crosses from the right hand side, and also whips in the ball beautifully as well on a couple of set pieces, and just for attacking returns and the potential of a clean sheet as well. I think he's a wonderful option to have in your FPL team. He's also gone up by 0.5 mil in price. That's one thing I will mention about this draft, is that I've done this draft based on just 100 mil and the price these players are at now, so it doesn't sort of take into account any kind of built-up value you have in certain players. As we'll come on to, that will mean you can maybe do different things in the midfield and the attack than I have done. Then we've also got the filler players in defence. We've got Jamal Lewis and Kilman. Jamal Lewis is kind of creeping down in price, however, he does have a good couple of fixtures coming up. It's just a starting player for Newcastle. I know that they're not the best defence, but as I said, you want starting players, and below 4.3 million, there's not really a starting defender who you can get in your team who's going to play week in, week out, and just give you that security if certain players like Cancelo or Walker do get rotated in and out of the squad. Then we've also got Kilman, who's sort of been undroppable for Wolves. Yes, they don't have the best of fixtures, but the same kind of principle is there behind Kilman that there is behind Lewis, as in they're just going to be playing week in, week out for their respective sides. Then we move on to the midfield, and this is a part of the team I really do like. Obviously, we've got Romeo. I'm not really going to discuss him too much. It's a 4.5 Villa option, you can choose Basuma or maybe Riedwald as well, all starting and playing sort of 90 minutes for their respective sides. Very good options. Riedwald is 0.1 mil cheaper if you need that 0.1 mil, just throw that out there. Then we've got Fernando, Zaha, Salah and De Bruyne. Fernandez looks very, very good with the fixtures coming up. He's been sort of carrying that Manchester United team, and I think he will continue to do so. And he also provides a bit more of a captaincy option. I know Son has been good for a captaincy over the last few weeks, but I still don't really feel that comfortable captaining him, as he's sort of not as consistent as the likes of Salah and De Bruyne and Bruno Fernandes. Then we've got De Bruyne, who's got incredible fixtures coming up. Yes, he missed that penalty, but he also got an assist in that game and is likely to still be on penalties. I think if Manchester City end up changing the penalty taker, it'd be really, really bad for them. They need to just pick one man and have him consistently taking penalties week in, week out. That's how you get a player who's just going to keep on banging the penalties in if they're doing it week in, week out. Then you have Mohamed Salah, who's, I can't really say a bad word about the guy at the minute. He's banging the goals in at home at Anfield. He's a wonderful captaincy option. And yeah, that's all that's really to be said, is that Salah's balling and you can't not have him in your team at the minute. Then we've got Wilfried Zaha. Now, Wilfried Zaha is kind of a placeholder here for that kind of 7.5 mil to 8 mil kind of price bracket. Now, Zaha does have very good fixtures coming up in the next 3. You've got the likes of Burnley, Newcastle and West Brom, all of which I think he can pick up points in. However, going after that, I don't think they have the best of fixtures. And someone like Jack Grealish, who genuinely looks like he's going to do something in every single game he plays, no matter who it is against, I think could be a wonderful option instead of Zaha here. Also, Hakim Ziyech, I know he's a little bit more expensive, but as I said before, about with this team, you know, I've not really been able to show this team with captured value. I've had to sort of put all these players in at the price they are now. If you've managed to pick up any of these players that I've mentioned for cheaper prices, then you can maybe sort of bump up the team a little bit, get someone like Hakim Ziyech, and Grealish is 0.1 and more, get someone like Hakim Ziyech, who looks very, very good for Chelsea right now, and is banging the goals in. I mean, if you have a midfield of De Bruyne, Salah, Ziyech and Fernandes, that is an unstoppable midfield. I was really trying to build that, but you see with the attack, it wasn't quite possible. Then we move into the attack, and I think budget is the way to go with the attack this year. Yes, Harry Kane has been absolutely smashing it. He has tougher fixtures coming up. If you have Harry Kane in your team, I don't necessarily think you have to completely just straight away get rid of him, because he will continue to score goals even though they do have tough fixtures coming up. However, the likes of Wilson, the likes of Bamford have done just as good as the likes of someone like DCL. DCL, obviously you think, oh, where's DCL in this team? It's because, as I said, the value has not been captured. I've not been able to capture the value in DCL. He started off at 7 mil, he's now 7.8, and 7.8 mil, I don't think he's necessarily as much as a kind of necessity as he was at 7 mil. That's because Bamford, I think Bamford has the same or one more point, and Wilson has a couple of less points, and the likes of Ollie Watkins is playing very, very well at the minute and is absolutely banging goals and has extremely good fixtures as well. That's kind of why I didn't put Grealish in the team, because the double up maybe is a little bit brave on Aston Villa, although they are very, very good. And you know, Grealish x Watkins could really sort of be a differential and bring in plenty of points, as most people only have the one of them, so combining the two could really bring in plenty of points. But yeah, I think budget's the way to go. Bamford's been doing very well. He actually looks like a bit more of a classy striker. He's very good at finishing, gets himself into dangerous positions. Not only that, but Leeds create so many chances in games that he's just always going to be the one on the end of them. So even if they lose a game 4-1 like they did against Palace, I mean, he's going to be the one who ends up bagging a goal and picking up 6 or 7 points a game, which for a 6-month striker is unbelievable value. Then Ollie Watkins as well, as I said, great fixtures coming up. He's got the supply with Grealish and Barkley, and I think he's going to continue to kind of drive on, get really good attacking returns. Same with Wilson, he seems to be scoring against whoever, whenever he wants. I know he's got that kind of injury symbol over him now, but I think he's got the international break and I'm pretty sure he will be back as well. I want to mention as well, Antonio. If Wilson isn't back, I think Antonio is a great option instead of Wilson as well, as he's been banging in the goals. So this has been a little wildcard draft for you guys. I hope you have enjoyed this video. It's just a little walkthrough of sort of, you know, the coming fixtures, what's going to be happening over the next few weeks, and the kind of team I'd be looking to build personally. I hope this has helped, and don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button, and I'll catch you in a bit.